Hi, this is Beverly Cole, and this is part 1 of our Easter egg stencil card trio. Let's get started. The first part of your kit is this beautiful metal stencil, and we're going to have a lot of fun with this. You're going to use this to make 3 cards with your kit, and each card is different. The first thing we're going to do is make the background for this first card, and each card has a similar background, so you'll use this same technique for each card. There are several different machines out there to do this technique. Just follow the manufacturer's instructions for whichever machine you have. If you have a machine that is motorized, I'm not sure you can do this technique. You may need to use a manual one. So, after you place your stencil the way I had it in the corner, you're going to do it again, placing the stencil in another place. So we have the black plate that works with the mat, and now I'm going to decide where I want to put my next embossed design. Now I'm not going to rerun that already embossed image through the machine because it will flatten that image a bit. And that's okay, but I want them all to look the same. So I'm only putting my clear plate on the part that I want to emboss, and I'm not running it all the way through. With your machine, you should be able to feel how far it goes in, if you have a manual machine, that is. And so, by not running it all the way through, I was able to get another embossed image on my background. Now I'll do it again. So I have my sandwich where instead of my clear plate on the bottom, I have this black piece that is made for embossing, and then the rubber mat. If you find that you don't have the tools for your machine to do this kind of a technique, leave me a comment below and I may have a hack for you. Now I'm doing it again and again, only putting my mats, my clear mat for my final part of my sandwich and my rubber mat over the area where I want that last embossed image. Notice I'm not going to run those other 2 images back through my machine. You could play around with this for a bit until you get the hang of it. Use some old messed up cardstock or something that you've run through your printer on cardstock that you can't use anymore to play with it until you get the technique down. Took me a few times. But look at this background I have with that one Easter egg stencil. Okay, so now I'm going to use some Versafine Clair ink, which is an embossable ink that's highly pigmented, and a sponge dauber, and once again, my stencil. The stencil is placed over the embossed image. Yes, and you have to have it on the right side. It does make a difference. Holding it in place with my fingers. You can always use some washi tape if you prefer. Just keep it off of the design. The washi tape could get in the way. You need to take it off and move it around so you can complete this entire inking process. So I tap very gently on my ink pad because it's a very juicy ink pad, and I tap a bit off on my mat just to show you that you can get a lighter touch by doing that. But I am going to start dark at the top, and I'm rubbing around in circles with my little sponge dauber. And now I'm going to add ink straight from the ink pad because I do want a dark image. And notice that I am going all the way around the edges, and when you do the edges you want to press firmly so that you get it right up to the edge without a white ghost line around the edge. Now as I do the darker ink around the edges, I will go up towards the center of the egg and it'll get lighter and lighter because I'm using up the ink on my dauber. Now this gives my egg a rounded look. You're giving it some dimension, making it look almost 3D. And here's our finished ink job. Looks pretty cool, doesn't it? Now because this is an embossable ink which does stay wet for quite a while after you use it, you're able to emboss it. So we're going to use some Burgundy embossing powder by Sparkle and Sprinkle. Absolutely beautiful color. And I'm going to just dump it on here. And it will stick to the ink. So pretty. And now we'll heat emboss that. Just get something on there that I wasn't happy with. Now we heat emboss. Now in the kit, you're going to get the Burgundy embossing powder along with this egg stencil, plus 3 other embossing powders and a glitter, plus all of the cardstock that you will need to make 3 beautiful, unique cards. Each card is different. And now I'm going to cut out this image. And I have a little tip here. When I fussy cut, I don't look at the image that I'm cutting. I look at the outside of the image, the scrap area. And as I cut, for some reason, when I look out at that part, I don't cut off my edge. I used to have a lot of trouble getting a nice, clean, fussy cut edge because I would look at my image and then I would cut too close. But when I look at the outside, in this case, the purple area, and I cut, I'm able to get a nice, really clean edge. And I want to leave a little purple around the edge as well. So, as I cut this, let's continue to talk about that kit. Next week, I'm going to do a Monday video showing how to make the other 2 cards in this card trio. So you want to make sure you get your kit ordered this week so that by next Monday, you're ready to play along with me as I do the other 2 cards. You'll receive what I just said in the kit, and it's at a reduced price. I'm also going to list here the ink pads and other things that I did use to make these cards. And then you can add ribbon, and twine, and any sentiments you prefer to these cards if you don't feel like you want to make them with the sentiments that I suggested here. I will suggest to you from the stamp set that I use. Boy, I'm getting tongue-tied. Okay, so now we're going to do the background. Remember, we did this through the die cut machine, and we're going to use that same ink, and we're going to use the dauber again, and tap, tap, tap it off on the side of the mat, and then you work your way from the surface of the mat onto the cardstock. The glass on this mat gives you a very smooth edge if you start on the mat and work your way in. I wasn't as careful in that first corner, and I did get a little dark in that corner, but I'm just going to darken the edges, so that won't matter to me. So when you start, tap, 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 tap it off, and start on the glass and work your way in onto the card. Less is more. You can build up the color this way. This is Versafine ink. They have so many beautiful colors. This one is called Monarch, because you know, purple is the color of royalty. So, tapping, circular motions from the glass surface onto the cardstock. Give you a beautiful, clean image. And these little sponge daubers that we sell wash out beautifully. Just soap and water. And this is our background. So we are able to see now those eggs in the background, although it is subtle, they are there. So cute. So when you make the other two cards next week, we will use different colors and other techniques, but all the backgrounds will be done through the die cut machine in the same way. Now we can see how our white egg pops right off that background. You can see that nice embossed edge. I'm just brushing off what I thought I saw. There really wasn't much to brush off after all. Okay. Now we're going to make a belly band for our card. I'm using a piece of white cardstock. You should get enough eggs out of your cardstock that you have some extra at the bottom or top. So make sure when you put your eggs through the machine, you do leave some space to have a 1-inch strip. Now we need it to be dark purple, so we're going to ink it with the Monarch ink pad, Versafine Clair. We hardly have to work at doing this because there's so much ink on that pad. Now that needs to dry, but we're going to emboss it, so I guess we don't have to dry it, but we do have to clean our workspace. So I like to use a wet microfiber cloth to get every bit of ink. You don't want to have any of that left behind to get on anything, and you may want to wash your hands as well. Next step is to emboss over that Monarch inked strip. Because it's embossable, it is still able to be embossed even though it's been sitting there. It's amazing. Even when I heat it. Watch. It's just amazing. Now we'll just take some clear embossing powder. Directly onto, just dump it on there. And I keep mine in a bigger jar because I use a lot of it. And now we're just going to emboss that. And remember, we heated this. It's been sitting there. It's still embossable. Just heating. And it's embossed. Perfect. So our card is coming along. It's just a beautiful color. The colors of Easter are purple and yellow. Now we're going to put this belly band on our card with some 1/2-inch Tearific tape. I put 2 strips on and I'm peeling off the backing. The release paper, as we call it. And you can decide which way you want your background to face. And then this goes across the middle. Belly band. Okay, and I'm going to trim. There we are. Apply our egg. And my videos are going to be focused on what you can do with the stencil. So some of the extras like ribbon and twine and things, those are things that you can add to your liking. I decided my egg was a little too stark, a little bit jumping off the page a little bit, and still looked a little flat. So I inked up around the edges towards the middle. And now I can actually see that little flower better because I just inked it ever so slightly. That will be there. I'm going to use some of our dimensional Craft Perfect foam pads to raise it from the surface a bit. I used 3 of them on this. These are nice and big. And they're easy peel. Sounds like a piece of fruit. Easy peel. Peel that off and attach it to our card. Now, I decided to put a couple of little embellishments on this card. I decided to put a piece of card tag. I just cut a little rectangle after stamping Happy Happy Easter from the Easter Parade set, which is one of our new sets, and punched a little hole with a paper punch and put a little bit of twine through there. And I'm going to attach it with a little bit of Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, which is very strong and sticky. It doesn't dry sticky. It's a permanent adhesive. And I'm just going to stick my twine back in there. Sometimes you can use a tweezer or any tool that's handy to push it behind whatever. And there's the tag. Tags are very easy to make. The trick is to get those 2 top angle cuts straight. And a piece of ribbon from my stash. And that can be attached with Tearific tape. So that's card number 1. And we'll mat it on a piece of white card. You will receive cards and envelopes in your kit to make 3 cards. Now here comes another card, and we'll do this card next week. This one uses some of our dimensional glue, a little bit of twine again. I think we all have some baker's twine in our stash, and another sentiment from the Easter Parade set. But I have some other tricks to show you with that one. And other ink pads that are used on this card and the next one are the Versafine Clair in Red Tulip and Golden Meadow. In your kit, you will receive the silver pearl that I use on this card. And here's the 3rd card, using those same 2 inks. And we'll do this card as well next week. You can see the background done the same way. We're going to use Buttercup, Petal, and Clementine embossing powder on this one. Here's what's included in your kit. Be sure to order it for next week. These items were used along with the kit. Be sure to order these if you don't have them already. And be sure to hit the bell so you don't miss a video. Have fun!